She said I was holding her back. So I let her watch me win the award she thought was hers. She thought I'd break down when she left. Instead, I signed the deal she used to dream about, and I did it without her. I wasn't angry when she said she was leaving. I wish I could say I was surprised. But when someone spends months sighing louder than they speak, checking out emotionally before they ever pack a bag, it's only a matter of time. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. Her coffee was still steaming. Mine had gone cold. "You've stopped growing," she said, looking anywhere but at me. "I feel like I'm suffocating. I want more. More." That word echoed. For years, I'd been working on my project late into the night, sacrificing weekends, turning down trips. All because she believed in it. Or at least I thought she did. "This isn't about love," she added. "It's about purpose. I don't want to waste my best years watching you chase something that might never happen." She stood up, expecting a reaction. I gave her silence. Not out of strength, but because if I said a single word, it would come out broken. She left her key on the counter. She didn't ask for anything. No fight. No closure. Just gone. That night I didn't sleep. Not because I missed her. I did. But because I realized she never truly believed in me. She believed in the idea of success. In the status that came with being the wife of someone going somewhere. But when things got slow, when the breakthrough was close but not quite visible, she tapped out. She had no idea what was coming. A week later I got the call. The prototype I'd been working on for the past 3 years caught attention. Serious attention. The investor I'd pitched to 6 months ago had finally seen its potential. He wasn't just interested. He wanted exclusivity, full backing, and he wanted to fast-track it to the top industry conference. That same night, I found an old sticky note in my drawer. Her handwriting. It said, "One day, we'll be on that stage together." Funny how dreams shift depending on who's standing next to you. The weeks that followed were a blur. Meetings, interviews, branding sessions. I was finally living the pace I used to only imagine. But the weirdest part? I wasn't celebrating. Not really. I was just working, building, leveling up. The pain of her leaving became fuel. Then came the email. I'd been nominated for the Innovation Excellence Award. The same award she used to talk about like it was the Holy Grail. I remembered her saying once, "Imagine your name being called. Imagine walking up to that stage in front of the entire industry." I had imagined it. With her. Every time. But now it would be just me. Or so I thought. The night of the award ceremony, the venue was packed. Rows of people in suits and gowns, glittering under the warm lights. I was seated near the front, trying to stay calm, rehearsing a speech I hadn't even written yet. Then, out of nowhere, I saw her. She was sitting in the middle rows with a group of people I vaguely recognized from her new circle, trendy entrepreneurs, influencers, people who lived for photo ops and hashtags. She hadn't told me she'd be here. Why would she? She didn't need me anymore, right? But there she was, watching the same stage she once dreamed of standing on, with me. She locked eyes with me for just a second. I didn't flinch, just gave a polite nod. She smiled like it didn't sting. But I knew it did, because she knew what was coming. And I was going to make sure she felt every second of it. The lights dimmed. A hush fell over the room. The host stepped onto the stage with the ease of someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. I barely heard the introductions. My hands were cold, but my chest was burning. Not from nerves, but from the quiet fire that had been building in me for weeks. Months, if I was honest. Years even. All the late nights, the rejections, the moments I'd stared at my laptop wondering if I was wasting my time. They all pointed to this moment. And now she was going to witness it. She who once sat beside me rehearsing what our future would look like. She who told me I was stalling her greatness by taking too long to make it. They began listing the nominees. A short video clip played for each one. Quick, flashy intros filled with corporate jargon and hype music. Then came mine. It started with a grainy photo from 3 years ago. Me at a dusty desk with scribbled blueprints and a coffee-stained hoodie. The narrator said my name, followed by, "A visionary who refused to quit." A few people clapped. Then more. I heard whispers. Some of them were about how far I'd come. Some were surprise. One, loud enough to catch my ear, said, "Didn't his wife leave him last year?" I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. I knew she heard it too. She stiffened. "And the award for innovation excellence goes to," the host said, dragging it out just long enough for my heartbeat to thump against my ribs. Then he said my name. The applause erupted like a slow-building storm. People stood. Some I'd never even met. The cameras flashed. And I walked to the stage, calm, steady, sure. From up there, the crowd looked like a blur of faces. Except one. She was frozen in place, not clapping, just staring. I saw it in her eyes. The disbelief, the regret, the sinking realization that she had left right before everything changed. I took the microphone, adjusted it slightly, and smiled. I had thought about this moment so many times. What I'd say, how I'd say it. But now that I was here, the words came from a different place. Not ego, not anger, just truth. I was told not too long ago that I wasn't growing. I began. The audience quieted, intrigued. That maybe I'd missed my moment. That staying by my side meant settling for less. I paused, letting that sit. But sometimes what looks like stillness from the outside is really just roots growing deep. I let that sink in. I didn't do this alone. And I won't pretend I'm a one-man miracle. There were people who supported me quietly without asking for credit. People who didn't leave when things got hard. To them, thank you. I didn't name names. I didn't need to. The real supporters knew who they were. And the ones who walked away, they knew too. After the speech, as I stepped off stage, a few reporters rushed up. I gave polite answers, smiled for a few pictures. But I was waiting for one moment. The moment I knew would come. She approached, walking like she had every right to. Like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't abandoned me in the middle of the storm and come back only to enjoy the sunshine. "Congratulations," she said, trying to keep her tone light. "You really did it." I nodded. "Thanks." There was an awkward pause. Then she tried again. I didn't know you were nominated. I saw it online this morning and thought, wow. I had to see it for myself." "You did," I said simply. "Hope it was worth the trip." She gave a short laugh. "Look, I didn't mean what I said back then. Not all of it." I raised an eyebrow. "Which part? That I was holding you back? That I wasn't enough? Or that you needed someone more evolved?" She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "I just got scared. I thought nothing was going to happen and I panicked. But now, seeing this, I stepped back half a pace. Just enough to signal the boundary she no longer had the right to cross. "You left," I said. "And it's okay. I needed to learn who I was without needing to be enough for someone else." She looked down. I looked up and caught sight of someone else walking toward us. Her. The woman who stood by me during the hardest stretch of those post-breakup months. Who didn't care about titles or awards. Who brought food to my apartment when I forgot to eat. Who never asked when the success would come, only asked what I needed to keep going. She reached my side, gave a respectful nod to my ex, then smiled at me. I introduced her without hesitation. "This is the woman who reminded me what real support looks like." My ex's face fell. She tried to cover it with a smile, but her eyes said everything. Before she could reply, one of the security guys gently approached. "She's not on your guest list," he said quietly. I looked at him, then looked back at her. My voice was calm. "She's not part of this chapter," I said. He nodded and stepped between us. As she turned to leave, I didn't feel triumph. I felt closure. The kind that comes not from revenge, but from rising above what once held you down. And she walked out of that room realizing she hadn't just walked away from me back then. She walked away from the moment she always claimed was her dream. Too bad she thought it would only happen if she was the one on stage. The ride home that night wasn't quiet. Not because there was noise, but because there was peace. The kind of peace that wraps around you not like silence, but like clarity. I sat in the back seat of the car, holding the award in my lap, not because I needed to admire it, but because I wanted to remind myself how it felt. Heavy, solid, real. Proof that years of being overlooked, underestimated, and told to get real had led somewhere. It wasn't about the trophy. It was about what it represented. I didn't rush to post about it online. I didn't throw a party or make a scene. I let the night be what it was. The quiet confirmation that I'd survived the storm and come out cleaner, sharper, better. A few days later, articles began circulating. Headlines called me a rising industry voice and a fresh face in innovation. They got a few details wrong, but that didn't matter. People saw the result. They didn't need to know what it cost. I got a few messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. Classmates, old coworkers, even an uncle who'd once told me to quit wasting time. "Proud of you," they all said. Funny how quickly the world celebrates your success once you've already bled for it in the dark. One message, though, stuck out. It was from a former colleague of hers, the kind of person who lived online more than in real life. "Just saw her story," it read. "She posted a throwback pic of you two from your early days. Caption said something about supporting greatness before the world sees it." That made me stop. Not because it hurt, but because it was sad. She wasn't proud of me. She wanted to rewrite her part in my story. Turn herself from the one who walked away into the one who discovered me. A backstage visionary instead of a disappearing act. But I didn't reply. I didn't message her. I didn't correct the narrative. Because the truth always finds its way, and I had no interest in fighting shadows. I had new work ahead of me. Real supporters, a growing team, and a woman beside me who didn't need the spotlight to shine. We launched the new project 3 weeks later. A clean rollout, simple branding, and a message I insisted be front and center. Built with quiet hands and unshakable belief. The product took off faster than we predicted. Investors doubled down. Media outlets started calling me not just an innovator, but a thought leader. And while all of that was flattering, I stayed grounded. Because I remembered what it felt like to sit in silence while someone told me I wasn't enough. I remembered how it felt to be alone in a room where love used to live. And I remembered how I promised myself, that night at the kitchen table, that I would never again base my worth on someone else's ability to see my potential. Then came the invitation, an international conference. Massive, bigger than the one where I'd received the award. They asked me to be a keynote speaker, headliner, 20 minutes to talk about the journey, the product, and what it means to build when nobody's watching. I stared at the email for a long time, not because I was nervous, but because I realized something deeper. This was the room she used to talk about, the stage she used to sketch in notebooks, drawing little stick figures of us together under a banner of flashing lights. This wasn't just any event. This was that event. And now I was going. Alone. Or rather, not alone, just not with her. We flew in 2 days early. The venue was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A skyline so clear you could see 3 cities at once. I rehearsed my talk once, then let it go. I didn't need cue cards or a script. I'd lived every word. When the night arrived, the crowd was even bigger than I imagined. Rows upon rows. Some faces I recognized from magazines, others from social media, but most were strangers, people who had no idea where I'd come from, only that I had something to say. I took the stage again, but this time I didn't see her in the crowd. And that made all the difference, because this speech wasn't about proving anything. Not anymore. It was about offering something, giving, teaching. Leaving something behind for the next person who might be sitting alone at their kitchen table, wondering if they're wasting their time. I ended with this. Sometimes you don't need to be seen to be growing. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is keep building in silence, until the day you no longer need to explain yourself. The applause was humbling. Some people stood. Some stayed seated, nodding slowly, as if the words had hit somewhere personal. And when I stepped down from that stage, I didn't feel larger than life. I felt aligned. After the event, there was a formal dinner. People networked, exchanged cards, talked about trends. I sat at my table, listening more than speaking, grateful to be in the room, but not desperate to dominate it. That's when a young woman approached. Not flashy, not loud, She introduced herself as an intern from one of the companies in the audience. "Your story meant something to me," she said quietly. "I'm working on something no one believes in. But tonight made me think. Maybe that's okay." I smiled. Belief doesn't have to be loud, just consistent. She nodded and I saw it, the same quiet fire I used to carry. It reminded me why I kept going, why I kept building after being left behind. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove to myself that I could. A month later, I donated the award. Not because I didn't value it, but because I'd already lived the moment it represented. It had done its job. It reminded me I was capable when I needed the reminder most. But I didn't need a golden statue sitting on my shelf to know who I was anymore. Instead, I gave it away to a charity that supported young entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds. And I did it in the name of someone else. The woman who had shown up when no one else did. The one who never once asked when the payoff would come. I didn't make a big announcement. Just a handwritten note attached to the plaque that said, "In honor of quiet strength and unconditional belief." That gesture was more powerful than any speech I could have given. Word got out eventually. The foundation posted a photo of the award on their page, thanking the anonymous donor. Someone recognized the design and connected it to me. A few articles followed, speculating on the meaning of the dedication. Some thought it was a marketing move. Others guessed it was a symbolic rejection of ego. Only a few people understood the truth. It was closure. The final piece in a chapter that no longer needed revisiting. Then came the call I didn't expect. It was from her mother. We hadn't spoken since the breakup. I recognized the voice instantly, warm, composed, always slightly formal. "I'm not calling to stir anything," she said. "I just wanted you to know. She's not doing well." There was a pause. "She doesn't talk about it, but she watches everything. The interviews, the launches, your speeches. She keeps pretending she's over it, but she's not. I think she thought she could come back. One day." I thanked her for the honesty but didn't say much else. What was there to say? Life isn't a rehearsal. It doesn't pause while people decide whether or not to value you. You either show up when it counts or you watch from the sidelines while someone else takes the stage. Still, that conversation lingered in my head for a while. Not with bitterness. Just with the strange weight of knowing how differently things could have gone. Had she stayed? Had she trusted the process? Had she seen me, not just the dream she wanted me to embody? But then I'd look at the life I had now. The real relationships. The team that believed in vision over vanity. The partner who didn't just celebrate the wins but walked with me through the in-betweens. And I felt nothing but peace. Months passed. The company expanded. We opened a new office. I was asked to join a mentorship panel. One evening, after speaking at a university event, a student asked me what the turning point had been. I thought for a second, then said, "When the wrong person left, and I finally had room to grow into the right version of myself." Not long after, I heard from her again. A message this time. Short, careful. "I saw your latest project. It's incredible. I mean it. No request. No apology. Just those few words." I stared at the message for a while, then closed it. Sometimes silence is the best reply. Not out of pettiness, but because there's nothing left to add. The story had already told itself. And in that story, I wasn't the man who got abandoned. I was the man who kept building. Who stood alone on the stage once meant for two. Who turned heartbreak into clarity. And who never let bitterness steal the spotlight from purpose. That night, as I watched the sun dip behind the skyline outside my office window, I realized something. She didn't lose me when she left. She lost herself when she walked away from someone who would have given her the world. Not because he already had it, but because he was willing to build it with her. But she didn't wait. She didn't believe. She left. And I let her. Because the truth is, sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's success. And the peace that comes with knowing you didn't just survive what they thought would break you, you thrived. If this story hit home, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Let me know what part of this story stuck with you most. I've got more real stories coming, raw, powerful, and honest. Thanks for watching.